Welcome back to another video at Joe's Toolbox Exchange. Today we're going to be looking at a snap-on stainless steel top. We've actually deconstructed one of these so you can see what it looks like when you take the stainless steel off of it. This came off of a snap-on KRA 2422 Classic. This exact size will fit on any double Classic. This is a slightly older model because, as you can see right here, you see this lip is only on the front, but on the newer models they're going to have a lip around all four sides, and it's not quite as poignant. It's a little bit more of a flat lip running around all four sides. Getting these apart was not easy, so I hope you guys appreciate this. Obviously, I believe in Snap-on and I like a lot of the quality of their products. I am a little bit disappointed in this instance. This top from Snap-on on shopsnapon.com is a little under $1,000. Icons of the exact same dimension by Harbor Freight is just shy of $250, so 1/4 of the price. And they actually both use the same steel gauge. The stainless steel in both of them is going to be 16 gauge. As you can see, it's a lip around all four sides with a front lip. The model number for this is a KWSN 2455AST. This piece is actually epoxied to the wood. On the bottom here, it has two holes that mount to the toolbox. These are the bolts that hold it in. I would say it is extremely important to screw these down. I buy a lot of boxes off of you guys, and they are not attached. But as you can see, this is essentially just a pressed wood, almost a particle board, and it is non-coated or treated. So you can even see a little bit of discoloration in here, probably from moisture. As moisture gets inside or around the edges of the box, especially if it's exposed to rain, you're gonna see some bowing in this. It's gonna be from the wood absorbing that water rapidly and then drying back out. You're gonna see either a cup or a bow. When this is caused, it's almost impossible to get it back out. Screwing it down does help significantly with this, as especially within humid clients, you're going to see a lot more movement in these, and that will prevent it for the most part. Most people do not have these screws. They get misplaced at the time of purchase, and some people will just set them on top of the top mat. Take the top mat off, maybe put it on top of your stainless or sell it on eBay because they are worth money, and put that towards paying off your $1,000 top, and screw it down. There's only two holes that hold it in. If you misplace these, they are 5/16 by 18 thread, and they're about 1 inch long. They look like wood screws. You really don't need the point on them. They're threaded in here, so it's not actually into the wood. It's actually threaded into a grommet. We'll go over the stainless next. They do actually paint the sides of it, probably to give it a little bit more protection, but if you want to get a close-up in here, you'll see it's not the best. A lot of times you'll see because of the porousness, you'll be able to see still exposed wood inside of the gaps. And then there is a lip on the front of it, which slides into the lip on the stainless. It does look like they use a solid piece of stainless steel and then cut the edges and roll it in. I don't see any welds anywhere on the inside of the stainless besides in the corners. There's pretty pronounced welds in all four corners and along these edges. Their Snap-on logo is on the front. This is the only place. They don't put model numbers, serial numbers, or anything like that on these stainless tops. If your box does have power on it, if it's a power top, it will have a serial number because it's covered under a warranty then. These are also covered under a warranty, but there's just no way to track them. If you see a power top, it's gonna actually embed the wires inside of this wood, so they'll cut trenches in that wood to put the wiring inside of it, and you'll plug a receptacle into the back of the stainless. Overall, this is a really expensive stainless top for what it is. At $1,000, it's a little bit hard to justify in my mind. I really like Snap-on's boxes, but some of their add-ons seem priced out of reason. I would say on something like this, I would put value closer to 400 if I was in the market for one. If it was in mint condition, I would say maybe 500 is a good deal. I tend to sell these off of a box. A lot of times people will ask me to sell them individually, and I will do so. These usually sell anywhere from 200 to 300, kind of depending on the condition. A lot of times you'll see these things heavily dented because they are just particle on the back side of them. So if you're using a dead blow or a hammer on top of the stainless, you'll get pretty pronounced dents in it. Those sell for 100 to 200, but in really good condition, I'll usually get 3, sometimes 4. When you start adding the power and stuff, the price makes a little bit more sense because there is quite a lot of added utility there. When I get them with the power top, if it's stainless, they're usually worth 500 to 600. If they're perfect, if they're worse condition, I usually sell them for around 3 to 5. They also come in a bed lined option. Something I would like to point out is the bed line is not always a polished stainless steel. Sometimes it is a raw steel. I think it depends on the year of manufacture, because I have seen where the bed line is peeling. They had a problem with that on some of their early productions. They've since addressed that and fixed that and warranted all the ones out in the field with that problem. But you will see rusting underneath the bed line, indicating it's not stainless. On some of their newer stainless power tops that are bed lined, they do say they are stainless. So I don't know if they've switched materials that they're using on their bed lined. But that is something to pay attention to. A lot of people think on some of the older ones, if they have that peeling issue, you can just peel the bed line off and polish them down and you'll have a stainless. This really is not the case. And it's very noticeable when you take them apart and look in the corners at the welds that they're not stainless steel welds. Like I said, these will fit any double classic. It's the same for the triple version. The triple version will fit all triple classics. There's no variations in the depth, so one will fit all. If you have a hutch, it's kind of required to do this. I tell a lot of people who come to buy boxes to kind of consider a butcher block, as they're really cheap to make and they hold up a lot better in my opinion. You know, you get a lot of surface scratches in any work surface, but with the butcher block you can flip it over or you can sand it down and re-poly it, and they kind of look good for a lot longer. Where once this wears in the stainless, I mean, some of these gouges are deep enough that there's no amount of polishing that's going to get this good again, unless you want to bring it down to 18 gauge, which would take a lot of effort. So I hope this gives you guys a little bit of insight on kind of what you're buying when you look at one of these tops. There is a trench in the center of the wood here. I believe it's to provide movement so the thing can expand. What I would call an expansion joint is this here. It runs down the center of it, and you can see a paint line here from where that actually falls. That's the only explanation I can make for it. On the Epics, it's the same way. There's always one expansion joint in them. And the top, like I said, is untreated. So really be careful with these things out in the weather. It's not something you want to expose to moisture. If you're in a shop that's very humid, like down in Florida with no humidifier, that's something to consider, is that these will bow out. I have seen it where they bowed so bad when you screw, even with them screwed in, it'll actually pull these out, or it'll strip them out completely and these will just free spin. You can kind of fix it by pulling it out and adding a new insert, which is a pain. It does work, but like I said before, when that bow is bad enough, trying to pull that bow back out of something this thick with that stainless is almost impossible. So just pay attention to trying to take care of these things. They do date them, so this one is from 2014. On the powered options, they have a serial number you can use. In a previous video, we talked about how to decode that serial number, so you can use that serial number to figure out the date of when this power top was manufactured. But for a box with no power, they just put them a date in here. Similar to the butcher blocks, Snap-on's butcher blocks has a date stamped in the back of them on that back lip, so you can view it when it's on the box. But for these models, you actually have to pull the stainless top to read it. This makes sense with it being a 2014 and the older model, because I believe they switched in the very late teens. It was like 2018, 2019 when they switched to the full lip model all the way around it, which does work better with the hutch because it gives the hutch a little bit something extra to sit onto on the sides. So, hope you guys learned something today, and until next time, thank you. So it's actually the evening, and I was getting ready to post the video of the stainless top review. I did remember that we had a shipping counter here that was custom manufactured for us. It's all stainless. It's going to be 14 gauge, so a lot thicker than the stainless tops that we looked at earlier in this video. I was able to find the blueprints for the dimensions and also the price, and the price did include delivery and installation. So just to give you an idea of pricing outside of the tool world industry here, we'll call it. This is the stainless counter. So it goes pretty far back that way, this way. There's a top cap here, and then all of the edges are rolled all the way around. And the dimensions for this are 144 inches from that wall to here, so much longer. And also we have about 32 inches from the front to back. So this is well over 3 times the amount of square inches that you're going to see on the Snap-on or the Icon that I mentioned, and also way thicker steel gauge. And then for this piece here, you're going to see 33 by 60. So this right here is at least another Snap-on top. And then lastly, this here is 177 inches to the wall to here. So this is way more material, and it's all custom made. So this isn't something they were able just to stamp out and produce. We had it specifically designed to fit this shipping counter. And the total cost of this, granted this was a couple years ago, steel price has increased, but not that substantially. The price for this is $2,341, and that was after them coming to deliver it and install it. When they brought it to us, it was actually in 2 separate pieces. We'll show this here. This and this. When they brought it here, they actually welded those up and assembled it and then installed it to make sure everything fit right. Doesn't sound hard to install, but this thing was incredibly heavy. So I would just like to mention that there is easily 5 times as much material, probably closer to 7 times the amount of material if you're thinking about including the gauge of the stainless, and it's only about 2 times the price of the Snap-on. So for the markup for the name, you are paying a hefty price when you're looking at buying that. I would guess you could probably get something manufactured that is a much thicker steel gauge for probably a fraction of the cost